Hey there, how's it going everybody? In this video, we'll be adding some custom error pages to our application. So I wanted to add these after we got our blueprint structure in place because I want to show how easy it is to add new blueprints to our application now that that is all set up. It was kind of a hassle moving everything over, but now that it's set up, it's pretty easy adding new sections. So first of all, let's see what our error pages currently look like. So I'm going to go to a non-existent page on our application, and this should return a 404. So I'll just go to, /test page. Then we can see here that we get a not found error. But this page is pretty ugly, and also it has no navigation or anything to go back where we came from. So now let me go back to our home page. And if you remember, our post routes where we can update and delete posts, if someone tries to update or delete a post that isn't theirs, then it will return a 403 error, which is a forbidden response. So we'll be making a page for that as well. And lastly, if there is a general error on the server that is unhandled, then most likely that will be a 500 error. So that is a general server error. So we'll make custom error pages for those three responses so that pages look a little better and are more functional. So let's go to our application and add these in. So I will pull up our application here. And let me close down some of these open tabs up here so that we don't have so much clutter. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to create a new blueprint, and we're going to call this errors. And the first step of that is to create a new package in our application directory. So in our application, I'm going to do a new folder here, and we'll call this errors. And remember, these blueprints have to be packages. So within that directory, we need to create an _init.py file in order to tell Python that that is a package. So in our errors directory that we just created, I'm going to also create a file here that is _init_.py. And that init file is just going to remain empty. So now let's create a file called handlers.py. And this is going to be similar to our routes files, but this will contain our error handlers. So within our errors blueprint here, I'm going to do a new file, and we will call this handlers. Oops, let me spell that right. Handlers.py. So within here, we're going to create a new blueprint. So we'll import the blueprint class. So we'll say from Flask import blueprint. And now we'll create an instance of that by saying errors is equal to blueprint. And then remember, when we create a new blueprint, we need a name. So the name will be errors. And also we need to pass in that _name variable. Now, the way that we create error handlers in our application is similar to how we would create routes, except we're going to use a different decorator. So I'm going to come down here a little bit, and this decorator is going to be errors dot, and instead of route here, we're going to say app_error handler. And this is going to be an error handler for our 404 error. So now we need a function for this, just like we would do a route. And I will call this route error _404. And then it will take in an error here. So be sure you pass in that error parameter. And now, within our error handler, we can pretty much just treat this like a route. So I can simply render a template for this error. So first, we're going to have to import the render template function. So import _render template. And now we can use this in our error handler just like it is a route. So I will return a render template. And now I'll render a template that I haven't created yet, but we will create these in just a second. So we will create these in our templates folder. We will actually create a subdirectory and call that errors. And within that errors subdirectory, we will call this 404.html. Now we're also going to need a comma and a 404 here on the end as well. So you can see that not only did we return our rendered template, but we also have a second value here of 404. Now in Flask, you can return a second value that is the status code, and the default is 200. So we didn't need to do that with our other routes, but we do need to specify 404 here, or else they won't get the correct error code response. Okay, so now we just need to simply copy and paste this a couple of times to do this for our other error pages. So I will just copy this a couple of times here and paste these in. And now I will change all of the 404s in this function and highlight all of those. And I will change those to 403. So we want to change 403 here in the app error handler, in the function name, in the template name, and in the response code. And we'll also do that down here and change all of these 404s to 500. So now we have app error handlers for 3 different error responses. Now there is another method that is simply called error handler instead of app_error handler, but that would only be active for this blueprint. And we want this error handler to work across the entire application. So that is why we have an app_error handler here in this blueprint instead of just error handler. Okay, so now that we have those handlers in place, let's go create those templates, and these will be pretty simple. So within our templates directory, I'm going to create a subdirectory here. So I'm going to create a new folder in our templates, and I'm going to call this errors. And this is how I was saying in the last video that I prefer to organize templates. Instead of adding them to blueprints, I usually just group them into subfolders in our templates directory. Okay, so now we can create templates for all of those error pages. So within our errors subdirectory here, I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call one 403.html. I'm going to create another one called 404.html, and I'm going to create another one called 500.html. And these will be some pretty simple pages. So first I will do the 404 template here. And first we need to extend our layout, which will give us our navigation and everything else. So we can open up a code block here with the curly braces and percent signs. And now we can say extends. And then within quotes, we can say layout.html. Be sure that you have the quotes there. And now let's open up our content block. So again, curly braces and percent signs. And we can say block content. And we also want to put in a closing block for this as well. So I will paste this in here, and we'll say end block content. Now within this content block, I'm going to create a div, and this div I'll give a class equal to content-section, and that is a custom class that we have in our main.css file. And now we can just give some information about our error here. So they're only going to see this page if they have a 404 not found error. So we will just say oops, page not found, and then within parentheses here we'll pass in the error number, and we can add a more descriptive message down here too. So within a paragraph tag we can say that page does not exist, please try a different location. Okay, so now we'll save that, and that's going to be it for our 404 template. So now let's simply copy and paste that for our other error templates, and then just change the messages around. So I'll copy this and paste this into our 403 template. Now our 403 template is whenever they try to do something that is forbidden. So for the message here, we can simply say you don't have permission to do that, and we can pass the error as 403. And then for the more detailed message here, we can simply say please check your account and try again. Okay, now lastly, we just want to do the 500 error, so I'll copy that and paste this into the 500 template. Now, a 500 error is just a general server error. It's not really descriptive. So for our message, we can just simply say that something went wrong, and then say that this is a 500. And then within our detailed message here, let's just say we are experiencing some trouble on our end. Please try again in the near future. Okay, so that should do it for our 3 error templates. So now, just like with our other blueprints, now we need to simply register these with our application. And if you remember, we can do that in the init.py file of our application. So if we open up our _init.py file here, where we have our create app function, then within here we can come in and go down to where we are registering our other templates. And now I'm going to import our errors. So I'll copy and paste that line. And this is going to be from flaskblog.errors. And remember, we didn't call this routes. We called that handlers. So from flaskblog.errors.handlers, import errors. And just to remind you, this import here, this is, if we go to our handlers, that is the instance of that blueprint. So that is what we are importing there. So now we can simply register that blueprint. So I'll say app.register blueprint, and we will register those errors. Okay, so if we save all of that and run our application, then we should now have some nice new custom error pages. So if we look at our terminal, then I need to restart our development server here, and we're not getting any errors, so that's good. So I will go back to my page and reload this. And now let's go to a page that doesn't exist. So I'll go to / test page, and we can see that now instead of that ugly not found error, then now we get our custom error page with our navigation and everything, but we still have information about the error. So this is the information here that we specified within our template. So now let's also look at that 403 error. So I'm going to log in here really fast. And now let me try to update a post that doesn't belong to me. So I'm going to go to this test users post, and I can't see the update link because I didn't create it, but I can manually go there and go to post 25 / update. And if I manually try to update that post, it says you don't have permission to do that. 403, please check your account and try again. Okay, so it looks like those custom error pages are working nicely, and I think that is going to do it for this video. Now, hopefully you got a good idea in this video for how easy it is to add new features to our application now that we have these blueprints set up, and how everything kind of has its own place now. So at this point, I think we have a pretty good feature-rich application that has all of its parts working together. Now, in the near future, I'll release further videos on some improvements that we can make to this application. So when it comes to web applications, there's almost no limit to the improvements that you can continue to make. So for example, with this application, we'll go over how to write unit tests for this. We'll also go over how to deploy this application on multiple different platforms. We could also, learn how to send longer running requests to a message queue to make it asynchronous. We can add a commenting system, a search feature. There are all kinds of things that we can do with this application in the near future. So if you have any suggestions for future videos that you'd like to see with this application, then feel free to leave a comment below and I'll do my best to work it into a tutorial. But if anyone has any questions about what we covered in this video, then feel free to ask in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer those. And if you enjoy these tutorials and would like to support them, then there are several ways you can do that. The easiest way is to simply like the video and give it a thumbs up. And also it's a huge help to share these videos with anyone who you think would find them useful. And if you have the means, you can contribute through Patreon, and there's a link to that page in the description section below. Be sure to subscribe for future videos, and thank you all for watching.